Hello again. My last video was a video on how to drape a skirt pattern onto a mannequin, and this is the second part of that video where you will be given some pointers on how to take the cloth off the mannequin and blocking it onto paper. This way you'll be able to see if the lines are straight and smooth, and you can measure the pattern to fit a body if you want to, and it should be a really quick and easy video. So this is the skirt pattern that we draped the other day, and before you take it off the mannequin you need to make sure there are some very important places where you need to mark up. The centre front and centre back is really important. Make sure that that is marked up before you take it off. The waistline, make sure the pins haven't come off if you're keeping the pins, and if you're not keeping the pins just make sure you've marked it up, the darts properly. The side seams need to be marked as well, and once you've done that you can start to take it off. So this is my skirt taken off the mannequin, this is my centre front and this is my centre back, and they're also my green lines. I've kept the pins in for the darts on the side for now, so I can see that they're marked up properly. I haven't marked from the hip downwards because I know that from the hip downwards the line on the side should be parallel to the grain, so I can mark that up on paper. I've just laid my centre front onto a piece of paper. Just make sure you've got some paper weights and to keep the fabric steady on the paper. If you haven't got any paper weights, just tape the fabric to the paper on a couple of the corners. So what I've got here is a tracing wheel. I haven't got a bradawl at the moment, but as long as you've got a sharp point to mark the paper with, and just a pencil. So I'm going to mark up my darts. These are the end of my darts. I'm just going to put one dot in each. And also, I know my centre front's going to be straight, so I'm just going to mark the top of it and the end of it. And then I'm going to mark up my darts at the top near the waist, and one on the side seam. So now I'm going to use my tracing wheel and trace up the lines that I've drawn before. Don't worry if you don't go exactly over the lines, because once it's on the paper and drawn in pencil, you can tidy it up. So I'm just going to trace the waistline. And then you should see some faint dots on your paper. So now I'm going to take off my fabric and mark it up. This is what I've taken off the fabric so far with my tracing wheel. As I've said before, I've stopped halfway on the side seam because from the hip level downwards my side seam is just going to be parallel to my centre front. Now your hip level will just be the widest part of your hip, and I've measured mine to be about 22 centimetres, so I'm going to measure 22 centimetres from the top of my centre front down to there, and I've made a little marking there, and you just need to square it across from your centre front. So this is my hip level. I'm just a little bit short here, but I'm just going to straighten it to the hip level, and then from that line downwards along the side seam it's just going to be straight. And now for the darts. Different books and different people that you speak to will tell you different things about the length of the darts, but really it's up to you. Everyone's different size and shape, so any length that you want to. And people will also have directions of where you'll fold the darts, but also it's up to you. But I'm just going to fold them outwards towards the side. For this you'll need a tracing wheel again. So I'm going to fold my first dart along one of the lines to the end of the dart and overlap it to the other line of the same dart. Now this can get a bit tricky. If it is a little bit too difficult, it might be best actually for me to cut a bit of the excess paper away so you can manoeuvre around the pattern a bit better. So once you've marked up, folded up the dart, as you can see, my lines don't actually match, but that's from the draping, so don't worry about things not matching, because that's what putting it on paper is for, so you can match up everything and make sure it's smooth. I'm not going to go along with any of those lines in particular, I'm just going to go in between. Let me just show you closely. So my darts didn't match up, and I'm going to go in between these two lines that didn't match up and smooth it from this point to the side with my curve. And then I'm going to do the other one. And once you've done the other one as well, it might be worth to fold both of them together so you can see that the whole of your waistline is going to be smooth. So once you've marked up and happy with the curve of your front, run your tracing wheel over the darts. After that, just draw up the dots that you've just traced. And join a dart from the end to the middle. Another thing you should be looking out for is that your centre front to the waist, this corner, it should be 90 degrees, otherwise when you cut the pattern it will come to a point. So make sure it's 90 degrees so that when it's doubled it's going to be a smooth line along the middle. And it only has to be 1 or 2 centimetres, and then it can start the curve. So that's my centre front, my waistline is finished, and my hip and my side. So now you need to do the back pattern, and the instructions are exactly the same, and once you've done the front and the back you'll put the two together. My back pattern is now finished. Now same as the front, along the centre back you need to make sure that this is square, again just 1 or 2 centimetres. Excuse me. And my darts are marked up, so what you need to do now is just to finish the length. What you need to do is to check that your side seams match. So from the hip line I'm just going to walk the patterns to make sure that they finish at the same point at the top. Now to walk the patterns you just have a starting point. Use a pencil, use a brad awl, anything you want, to stop along the line and swing the pattern along the line against each other. And once you've done that you'll come to the top where your lines will match. If they don't match, just try and match the back to the front. Keep the front as it is, but mine does. And make sure that you are happy with the smooth curve. I think mine does come to a point a little bit. My back is a little bit straight, so I might want to just curve it a little bit like this. And for the hem, which is the last part of this tutorial, I'm going to go from the hip, make sure that they match, and I'm going to mark along the centre front how long I want the skirt to be. So once you've decided, measure it from the centre front at the top, same as when you measure it on your own body, and check how long you want the skirt to be. So I'm just going to mark it anywhere for now. So if I want my skirt to be this length from the top down to where I've marked it, I need to square it up from the front. So make sure that you are drawing a line 90 degrees against your centre front. Right down to the side. So that is my skirt length, that's my front completed. And I'm going to mark that point on the side seam of the back. This is the side seam of my front. So I'm going to match it along the hip line. down to where my front hem is going to finish and mark it there. And because both your side seams and your centre front and your centre back is parallel, I'm just going to square it across from the side seam, and that's just get it finished.